Hi, hi, Rosie. How are you?
Good in you.
I'm good. Thanks for accepting my invitation and coming
Oh,
to talk with
thank
me.
you for asking.
So I hope I you know about me. I'm a YouTuber. I do videos with different country people. So I thought to
Yeah,
talk
I
with
noticed
you.
some of your
Yeah.
videos. Yeah.
So can you introduce yourself to my audience?
Yep. So my name, my pen name is Rozzie. And I'm from New Zealand, and I'm 17 years old. I'm in my last year of high school, and I can't wait to go to university, basically.
Okay. I think you are a writer.
Yes, yeah. I write poetry on Instagram.
Okay. What you write?
Anything really. I just sort of enjoy creating imagery with words. I find that a really enjoyable thing to do, and that's what I like to do when I write. So, yeah, lots about love that I've never experienced or friendships that I have had and relationships. I really enjoy that sort of dynamic of writing about that sort of thing. I'm really inspired by nature, especially living in New Zealand. It's such a beautiful place to be inspired by. So, yeah, those are the main areas I cover.
I came to know that you have a great imagination. I have gone through all your all three thoughts. I felt amazing. So I thought that yeah, I should talk with this person. I should ask many questions about her thoughts and her imagination.
Oh, thank you so
So
much for reading.
yeah. So what do you like to write most of the time?
Most of the time, I like to explore sort of relationships. Um, I like to use a lot of double meaning and that kind of thing. Um, that sort of idea of nothing is always what it seems. So on the surface, it appears like a simple idea, but underneath it means so much more. So I really enjoy playing with that sort of idea. Yeah.
Okay, what do you get when you write about that? You said that you write about relationships that you experience.
Yeah. I think it just brings about a sort of self-reflection. I think that's what a lot of my writing is about, is that sort of time to reflect on those sort of experiences and um, finding new ways of expressing that and exploring the different aspects of a relationship and with friendships and things like that. Yeah, I think that's really important. So yeah, that's why I like to write.
Okay, what do you understood about relationships?
Relationships, well, I mostly talk about friendships and family and that kind of thing because those are quite important in my life. So my friends are very key to my life, and my family. I wouldn't be who I am today without my family. So all very important to me.
Okay, so other than relationships, what do you write?
I like to do a lot with nature and how it can sort of represent the aspects of my life. Um, my Instagram handle is Queen of the Red Roses. So that comes from the idea of, I don't know if you've seen Alice in Wonderland, the animated movie. Basically, the whole thing is you have this red queen, the Queen of Hearts, and she gets so annoyed when these cards go and paint all her white roses red. And it's this idea of sometimes life doesn't go the way that you think it will go, and it doesn't go the way you want it to go. But it's just to own that and really move on from that and work on that. So, yeah.
Okay, so you look very positive, like your quotes, like your thoughts. So where do you get all these thoughts from? While sleeping or
Um,
while, watching the world or the nature?
I think I get a lot of my outlook on life from my parents. So I was born with spina bifida, which is
Okay.
the incomplete development of the spinal cord. So I grew up having some slightly different responsibilities to other people and that kind of thing. And I always loved the way that my parents raised me because it was never, oh, you have a birth defect, you're not part of the norm, we're going to treat you special. It was always, oh, cool, you have spina bifida, go run with the other kids. Off you go, off you go. And it was always that sort of positive mindset that really, I think, got me going and has got me where I am today.
How many people got affected because of your writings?
At the moment, I have around, I think it's 1,000 followers. Um, Yeah, it's been really nice to have people to reach out and say that they really enjoy my work, because I was not expecting that at all. Um, I just kind of always wrote for self-reflection and that kind of thing, and to have it resonate with other people kind of makes you feel like you're not necessarily alone, or your experience isn't just because of you, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So why you are expressing? What is your intention to express yourself?
I think it's that idea of wanting to share experiences with people. I'm quite a people person most of the time. Most of the time, I'm a people person. Depends on the kind of people. But yeah, no, I just enjoy talking with people, and kind of reflecting on our lives. And I love hearing stories from other people. So when I write something and someone shares, how their outlook on what I've written, and I go, oh my God, and that relates to your story. And we're all just sharing all these stories. And I guess, again, that kind of comes to how I grew up. I grew up listening to stories of my dad getting in trouble and my mom, off doing great things. And yeah, I enjoy the aspect of storytelling. So that's what I like to communicate. Yeah.
Storytelling or the poetry?
Yeah, I think any sort of art form can tell a story. So whether it be through dance or drama or whatever, I think the beauty of an art form is to be able to tell a story, or at least communicate an idea. So yeah, that's what I think. Hopefully, my poetry does, is it tells a story that people can relate to. So yeah.
And only you're from New Zealand, right? Only the New Zealand people connects to your thought, or people from different countries like India, United States, Australia,
It was
they also
crazy.
connects with your.
I
Yeah.
was looking at my audience demographics, and majority of them are actually from India, which
Okay.
I was not expecting.
Okay.
Yeah, not a lot of New Zealanders actually. Um, yeah, so quite a few from the UK, quite a few from the US, and I think that's the beauty of social media these days, is your story isn't just confined to one region. It goes across the entire world, across the internet. Um, so yeah, that's been a really cool experience, as well as hearing from all these people from all over the world. I mean, it's great. Yeah.
I have seen you. I mean, there are writers, a lot of writers in India who wrote a lot of books, but I connect to a lot of Western country writers. So that is one of the major reasons why I wanted to talk with you, and
Oh,
I
awesome. So
wanted to see.
what kind of ideas from other
I
writers did you?
mean, from other countries, what I observed is they don't say, they don't express or explain a thing directly. They'll
Yeah.
say they come from other side. They'll try to show it from other side.
Yeah.
Only a person who wants to go deeper, who wants to see things deeper, he will understand. I saw that in your writings.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, it's been really good.
But not many people in India who are connected to me uh, wants to go like that, wants to see things like that. But
Mm,
I'm that kind of a person who don't want to tell some things directly, who wants to tell,
the whole
roam
story.
around it, hold the story, and then you'll understand. And
Yeah.
what is poetry to you? What is poetry? What do you understand about poetry?
Oh man, I actually was thinking about this the other day. Someone asked me what is poetry, and I think it's quite interesting, in the world that we live in today. Like, if you look back, at Shakespeare, there was a very defined way of how he wrote his sonnets, and he wrote things to be performed and that kind of thing, and they had that structure. And these days, I think a lot of people don't necessarily need structure. I think in many ways, you kind of write something to be read a particular way, or you write something to be said aloud a particular way. And I don't think there's any one particular format to poetry. And I think poetry can mean different things for lots of different people. It just sort of depends what kind of idea you're trying to get across, and that'll lead you into the format and the structure, and the ideas that you want to communicate. So, yeah, I think
Did
it can be
any
anything.
did any person after seeing your poetries said that I have changed my way of thinking after seeing your poets?
Yeah, I think it's definitely made people sort of um, think about things in a different way. And also a lot of the poetry I've been reading on Instagram, I didn't realize there was such a big community of it. And there'll be, one particular post that'll give some great sort of analogy about life, and you'll just think, I never thought about it like that. That's crazy, man. And I just, and then you can't forget it. Yeah.
And have you wrote about human psychology, like human emotions?
Yeah, I enjoy doing a lot of personification of emotions. So I'll talk about fear or hope as if they're a real person, and the kind of life that they would live, or how they would affect my life if they were a real person, even though they're kind of just that non-tangible part of a person, if that makes sense. Yeah, so I enjoy doing that as well. Yeah, I enjoy writing about emotions.
How good you are in observing things?
Um, I think I can be pretty observant usually. Yeah. I think in general I can sort of understand a person, or sort of gauge what kind of um, personality a person will have. And I think I'm a pretty good judge of character, but that is yet to be seen.
Okay. So what do you understand about the positive and negative writings?
Um, I Listen, I don't know if I could ever be like a published author, because the thing is, I was reading back on some of the stuff that I wrote like way back in primary school, and I'm thinking, oh my God, like this is terrible. I hate this. I don't agree with this idea anymore. And I think that's the beauty of art, is it kind of expresses your mindset at that exact moment. So a lot of the poems that I've written, some of them were written at a point in my life which is completely different to how I feel I am today and the mindset that I have today. And it's quite cool to see that sort of progression of thoughts, but it's also kind of cringy to have to look back and think, oh, was that really the kind of person that I was? Oh, that sucks. But yeah, you live and you learn. So yeah.
When you started writing?
um, so funny story. I hated reading when I was younger. I hated reading, and the thing that got me reading was the Geronimo Stilton books. And then I couldn't stop reading, and I just wanted to read all this stuff and read, read, read. And then I got to this one class in primary school where I wrote a poem about autumn. And the teacher got the class around and she was like, guys, who wrote this piece? And I said, oh, it was me. And she went, this is great. This is above your year level. And I thought, oh, finally. Because up to this point, I'd hated writing and reading because I thought I was useless at it. And she kind of gave me that motivation to want, to try and better myself even more and better my writing. And that was from the age of 10. And then from there, I wrote a bit of poetry here and there. And then as I became a teenager, being a teenager kind of sucks initially. So I was doing a lot of self-reflecting and that kind of thing. And that got me more into the poetry. And now, as I'm thinking of transitioning from high school to university and those sort of studies, I'm at another transitioning point in my life. And so that's kind of sparked up a lot of my imagination again, and self-discovery and all that jazz. So yeah, I've been writing for a while, but writing kind of solidly from about 13 to now. Yeah.
What are the books that you read?
Books that I've read, well, there are quite a few that have always just sort of stuck with me. I can never pick just one favorite. I'm a very indecisive person. But one of the books I've always loved was Wonder by R.J. Palacio. I think that's how you say her name. And I thought that's a really good book because it does sort of describe that positivity and that acceptance and difference that I like to explore and that I like to see in my own life. Another book that I recently read was called Flawed, and it's a dystopian book. Another dystopian book was The Handmaid's Tale. I really enjoyed that. I haven't read a lot of poetry books, funnily enough. I enjoy dystopian for some reason. Um, but yeah, those are some really good ones that I've enjoyed.
So why you thought to write poetry? What made you to write poetry? Why you don't want to say things directly?
I think for me, writing a book takes too long, chapter by chapter. It just takes too long. Um, and I think poetry is one of those things where it's interesting how shorter pieces can actually have so much impact, and how using particular words in a certain way can really create that impact that you want. And um, it's a nice, I think poetry is a really nice art form because it's something that can be quite individualized. So someone can read something that I've written, or they can write something that they've written, and it will have a completely different meaning to another person because their mindset and their stage of life is completely different. So yeah.
So how many people got connected by seeing your writings, who are connected to you in your life?
Can you give me a sec? Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, I was asking that how many friends of yours or your relations, how many people got connected by seeing your writings?
How many of my friends or just
Yeah,
people online?
yeah.
So I haven't actually told any of my like real life friends that I have an Instagram account because it's weird. It's a bit like poetry, sort of one of those things that can be easily made fun of, and it's like, oh, you're really writing poetry. So I haven't told any of my friends, but I've made plenty of really good friends over Instagram and this kind of thing. Um, and I've met a lot of really good people who give really good advice, and it's been really enjoyable. So yeah.
You are introvert or extrovert?
I don't know. I think I'm an ambivert, which is kind of that in between where it's like sometimes I'm really good at like being in social situations and dealing with people. And then I get to a point where I'm just like, okay, no, you've taken all the energy out of me, leave, leave. So it just sort of depends, honestly. Um, but I've generally been quite a friendly person. I wouldn't say I'm extroverted. I don't get my energy from people, but I have always been pretty friendly and social, which again was thanks to my parents because they always encouraged me to sort of go up to someone and introduce yourself and that kind of thing. So yeah.
But I believe that all the writers, all the creators, all the content creators are extrovert until unless they want to express, they don't express.
Yeah,
Introverts are the people who don't express.
yeah, yeah, that is true. I think with a lot of shy people as well, it's that sort of thing where you feel like you can't necessarily express them yourself, so you write them down and you keep them as something to kind of remind yourself, and maybe even share with other people to see if they feel the same, but you don't necessarily show your face and that kind of thing. um which, yeah, I don't know, I think I could be a bit of an introvert sometimes. I'm definitely a book nerd, but yeah.
Okay, so when you're going to write a book,
When am I going to write? I don't know if I could, because the thing is, I'd write a book, I'd publish it, and I'd see it on the shelf, and I'd go back and read it and go, no, don't like that one. Want to change that. Want to change that, because I'm constantly wanting to change things, which is kind of good about Instagram because then I just sort of post it and I'm like, this is how happy I was with it in that moment, so it's going to stay like that. But with a book, I don't know. I feel like it's too permanent for me. I wouldn't I wouldn't necessarily want to release a book. I don't know. Depends. Yeah.
video or a book, which one will you select if I want you to select?
Um, I mean, a video could be really interesting because that sort of brings that visual aspect into it as well. Um, Yeah, but then again, I think a book is something where the words can have a meaning for someone rather than the imagery being there already. It's kind of like when you adapt a book into a movie and how you have this very clear picture of the characters from the book and you're thinking, oh yeah, and this is what this looks like. And then you go to the movie that's based on the book and you go, what the heck? This is not what I pictured at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there are pros and cons to sort of anything, but yeah, I don't know. I still got a while to go. I'm only 17, so we'll see maybe in a few years if I feel like publishing something.
Which one creates impact on you, video or the book?
Um, I think both. Again, I grew up having quite an imaginative sort of childhood, so I really enjoyed that book aspect once I finally got into it. Um, but I enjoy movies and that kind of thing because I enjoy the visual aspects that you can bring to it, and I'm really interested in that sort of thing, like directing and um, it looks very difficult. I don't know if I could ever pull it off, but it the final product always just astounds me, how much detail is put into something so visual. So yeah.
So at last, what you want to say to the people who watches this video?
Oh man. You can do anything you set your mind to. If you set a goal and if you set ambitions in place, then you can achieve it. And even if you can't achieve that goal, there's always another door that you can go to. There's always something else to achieve in your life. So don't ever stop trying to achieve something.
Okay, and at last, this is the last question. Tell me something which you have experienced which made you to feel very sad, and at the same time, tell me one experience that made you to feel very high, like extremely positive.
So something that made me sad and positive, or two
Yes,
different ones?
yes.
Sad and positive. Oh, that's hard. I think probably one of the things is I moved around a lot when I was a kid. So I was originally born in South Africa and I lived there for 5 years. And then we moved to Angola and I lived there for 5 years. And now I've been living in New Zealand for 7 years. And it's interesting looking back on those moving experiences because I always knew that they were a positive experience, but of course you're always sad leaving those kind of people behind. So I'd say that's probably the kind of experience in my life where it's been sad, but it's also been something positive that I've been able to recognize. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for giving your time, and thank you for sharing your experience. Can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your
Yes,
permission?
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No worries. Have a lovely day.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for the interview. Bye.
Bye.